Welcome back to the 3 Miles MC. I am right here at the Eicma Motorcycle show at the Royal Enfield stand, and I'm going to show you today the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 with its new 450cc liquid-cooled engine. So let's have a look at it. In my opinion, the new Royal Enfield Himalayan is very interesting, especially for the European market, because I personally ride a Royal Enfield Interceptor, and that's mainly because of the power of the motorcycle. And this bike will have 39 horsepower and 40 Newton meters of torque, which I think makes it really interesting, especially for the European market, and makes me personally consider this motorcycle. The new Himalayan has, again, a single cylinder, but this time it's liquid cooled, which is the first time in Royal Enfield history. So that makes this bike really interesting. Also, this bike has dual overhead cams. And instead of the old 5-speed gearbox that you had on the old Himalayan, you now have a 6-speed with a slip assist. Also, to make this motorcycle more off-road capable, this motorcycle is equipped with 230 millimeters of ground clearance, upside-down shower suspension, and optional tubeless tires. Let's see how I can sit on this motorcycle, and then I will let my thoughts marinate and then make a conclusion of what I think and expect of the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. So after having a look at the Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 on the Royal Enfield stand of the Eicma Motorcycle Convention, I was able to let my thoughts marinate a little bit, and those are my impressions on it. First of all, not just the engine is new, everything is new. New frame, new suspension, a completely new bike basically. This bike has not a lot in common with the old Himalayan except of it being an adventure bike. When it comes to the suspension, I am curious how the upside down Showa suspension with 200 millimeters of travel in the front and in the rear will do off-road and on the street. The 200 millimeters of suspension travel in total result in 230 millimeters of ground clearance. So I think this bike should be a little bit more off-road capable than the old Himalayan. The bike now comes in at 198 kilos with everything on it, which is not that light but also not that heavy. So I would say it perfectly lands it in the middleweight to light adventure bike class. So basically the main draw compared to the old Royal Enfield Himalayan is the new engine with its 40 horsepower. I personally ride a Royal Enfield Interceptor, and I basically have chosen the Interceptor because of the more power of the engine. So I'm really happy that now an adventure bike with more power from Royal Enfield makes it to the European market. Speaking of this motorcycle's engine, this motorcycle engine is compliant with Euro 5+. So the bike is very restricted, and the guys at Royal Enfield told me that if you put an exhaust on the bike and some tunes, just with an exhaust it would be really easy to reach 46 horsepower, and with some slight modification you can take this bike above 50 horsepower. If this engine will be reliable, no one knows yet. It's the first time for Royal Enfield to produce a liquid-cooled engine. It's hard to nail something on the first try, but with how Royal Enfield has been doing the last few years, I think it's quite possible that they pull this off and that they make a good, reliable engine. This motorcycle comes with ride-by-wire and also features 4 different riding modes, 1 eco mode, so it's basically 3 different riding modes. And one of those modes has the ABS completely switched off, which is good for off-road riding and basically essential there. Also, the round DFT dash is quite beautiful to look at. I wasn't able to turn on the bike on the Eicma because it was already, enough people already played with it for it to not turn on anymore, because that's how conventions go, you know. But the DFT dash is connectable with your phone and does the navigation with the help of Google. So it's competitive with your phone when it comes to navigation. You can skip music on the DFT dash and manage all your technological needs basically. So it's a really solid tech package on this motorcycle. I also sat down on the motorcycle, and I am 6'5", and I have to say it is quite okay. It really caters to a wide range of riders. I would say everyone between 5'6" and 6'2" is fine. I personally would need probably a lifted handlebars, and there are 3 seat options. 1 small seat, 1 big seat, and I think 1 rally seat. And I think the rally seat is the highest, so that one would be the option for me basically. When standing on the bike, it felt alright, but I didn't know if I would feel comfortable with strong braking downhill and everything to not go over the handlebars, because you have to keep in mind, for me they're quite low. Visually, I'm okay with how the motorcycle looks. At first, I was not the biggest fan when I saw the first few recordings of it on Itchy Boots' channel, but that was mainly due to the color, because I didn't really like how the bike looked in white. But with the black golden colorway, I'm a huge fan. And of course, this is criticism on quite a high level, because Royal Enfield does quite beautiful bikes and most ADV bikes look not that great. So I think this definitely stands out positively, even though I like the old design of the Himalayan more than the new one. But the new one therefore is more practical, keeps you more protected from wind with the bigger tank. The tank has 17 liters of volume. How that will handle in the end with the power of the engine, no one really knows yet. So we will have to see with that in the future. In general, there will be 5 different colors that are offered in grey blue, black and orange, and this white color is what we now saw at the Eicma. I personally like the black and gold the most. The motorcycle is supposed to cost between 5,000 and 6,000 euros and land itself somewhere in that range. And I think that's quite a competitive price and quite alright for that solid adventure bike. And also, if you are actually considering to take your motorcycle on big motorcycle tours, I think that is a financially tolerable option, because actually using those bikes for touring puts them through a lot, and also a lot of value depreciation. So I think that price is quite reasonable. But with the exact price, we will have to see in the future where it will land. A few more things about the frame. The frame is again a tubed frame that goes around the engine, which I personally prefer. So the engine is not part of that frame. And also there is a subframe, so if you bend that one, you can just replace that. And also there are parts around the engine that protect the engine basically. So that is, in my opinion, really good. Also, I am personally curious to see if you can quite easily put a motorcycle surfboard mount on the Himalayan, because that was possible with the Interceptor, and I personally own the Interceptor and do touring with that, and I greatly enjoy that feature. But with how it looks, that could be possible, so we will have to see what the aftermarket will give us there. But that's more one of my little personal points. So let's sum my opinion on the new Himalayan 450 up. I personally don't know if I would get the bike right when it comes out, and I think I personally would wait until the engine has proven reliable and then look at the used market. One personal aspect that I really want to make sure of that this bike is good at before I would buy it is how corrosion resistant and how rust resistant this bike is. Because if you actually do motorcycle camping with it, it's really important. Your bike will be standing next to you when you're camping and will be standing outside a lot, so it really needs to be corrosion resistant. I looked a bit at the materials, it all looks good so far. I didn't see anything to worry about. So yeah, I'm curious how this will turn out. All in all, I think the new Himalayan is a great addition to the Royal Enfield lineup, because I personally was basically only held back by the lack of power by the old Himalayan. Like, that definitely brings a new option to the adventure bike market. And even though I was a little bit critical of the looks, I really enjoy the looks still. And for an ADV bike, this bike is just beautiful. So I think it's a great motorcycle, and I hope that I get to ride one at some point. And I will then make a video about that, of course, as well. Of course, next week on Sunday, the motorcycle surf trip with the Interceptor will continue. And I hope that you guys like what I do here on YouTube. And if you do, consider subscribing, leaving a like, and the links to my other socials and my Patreon are down in the description. See you soon.